prayer support to you and a companion, which is why, as I often say, indeed, we love to receive your prayers and to remember them and lift them up to the Lord here as your prayer helpline, if you want to think of it that way too. So now it's nice to be back at the microphone, and thanks indeed to our gallant staff and volunteers who helped to keep the show on the road over the Christmas period, the past week or so. I was here just up until Christmas Day, Christmas afternoon there again, and had a nice rest really last week. It's been pretty frenetic and pretty full on, and re-energized again, thanks be to God, and fit and well, thanks be to God also too, and looking forward indeed to just getting into the year ahead with your help and with your support, and indeed at your service, as I say. So nice to be back with you, and again, every grace, every blessing of this new year to one and all. I'm not sure if we're live on Facebook or YouTube. We're having problems paying our bill. I don't know if you've heard that problem before. It's a bit irritating. If your card is lost or stolen, or you change the number on your card, that all the little direct debits you had or standing orders of those things, they all get thrown to the wind, and you have to establish them all again. And I've just been finding that with the new security measures, the new card number that we've now have for our card is being thrown back at us when we're trying to re-establish paying our regular bills. And one of them is this one here, the video one. Anyways, it's one of the long list of jobs that await me here to try to get sorted and get organised as we go along. All these things will sort themselves out in due course. Nice to listen back to some of those voice messages, actually, and Anne and Glenties there. We are long overdue a good visit to Donegal. We have been certainly, and hope to return with God's help in the new year ahead. We're getting ourselves organised for some new parish visits. We have one in Cork, one in Kerry, and one in Antrim coming up in the coming weeks. So very much looking forward to visiting parish churches all around the country once more. And if we can get ourselves well organised, we'll certainly have a long list of places to trip around the country to. And Donegal will be a place we would certainly love to visit. We have many friends up there already. So, and of course, every other part of the country, don't want to leave anyone out. We have a few other sort of pending, standing invitations that we will get to as well. So now that I'm back in harness, I'll sit down with Ruth, our gallant promoter, and we'll have a good talk through and formulate a kind of a plan and see where we are going forward and what lies ahead. It's always that way. You come back to work after a period away, trying to gather the head again and pick up a head of steam and keep it going. With a couple of staff off sick at the minute, that blessed Omicron is doing the rounds and taking us down at the minute. I just heard some good news. Now, I'm no expert on this, and as you know, I haven't really been dwelling on the whole topic of the virus, and that you get enough of it really in the secular media. But just a good news dimension to it. Again, I'm not making any scientific pronouncements in any shape, size or form, but the word seems to be that the Omicron version of the virus is not taking the same toll as the original, the Beta and the Deltas, less hospitalizations, but it's certainly more virulent. But the good news, which I was just reading about, and please confirm it elsewhere, fact check me. By all means, again, it's not official until you hear it from authentic scientific sources. But there has been a publication from South Africa, because that's where the Omicron wave has passed through, and the findings are very encouraging, that those who have contracted the Omicron version haven't had a serious time with the illness, but have developed a long-standing immunity, or at least an immunity in the T-cell area. We're learning all about these things. I never knew anything about T-cells myself. But it seems to be that the research is suggesting that this is nature's answer, nature's way of helping boost immunity. And please God, herd immunity at the rate it's spreading, and that people are getting it and recovering, of course, from it too. So it's good news. This is coming from a video I saw. There's a doctor in England who I like his approach. I meant to look up his name. He does videos on YouTube, and he doesn't do any razzmatazz. There's no kind of commentary. There's no spin. There's no twist and turn in the tale, or narrative, as they've come to describe the whole thing. Some, at any rate. Instead, it's just simply examining the science and the medical reality of the situation and just saying, well, here's what it's suggesting, and helping people understand it in a little bit more detail. But just he's very encouraged by the whole thing and saying, look, this seems to be nature's answer, nature's vaccination, let's say. So please God, that's certainly the case. And with God's help, it will mean a change as things go on. Now, it's not pleasant at all to contract it either which way, but at least this version of it sounds more like a bad cold or a bit of a flu. And that so many people indeed are recovering from it and receiving that natural immunity, let's say. Anyway, that seems to be good, and I think this is the one thing about the natural immunity versus the vaccination that I again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that there's an immunity against other variations that comes naturally, that the vaccination targets kind of specific variations. That's my understanding anyway. But just to focus on just the good news element of that, which is encouraging to me, please research it. Please don't take it as gospel by any means, but just this is the word that seems to be filtering through at this time, and I'm delighted to hear it. It's a good news story. It's certainly encouraging and uplifting. So we keep everybody in prayer still, all those who are suffering and struggling and burdened with it, and of course with the restrictions that are being applied. And I think because this variation again is that bit more virulent, there's extra precautions, and that seems to be common sense too. And this is my favourite dimension of the whole thing. We just apply common sense all the while and not allow ourselves to become in any way anxious or distracted or bogged down in any of the other stuff that accompanies it, to try to keep a sort of a neutral or a balanced, sensible approach and let it not confine or restrict us excessively, obviously maintaining all the natural guidelines and the safeguards and everything and following the advice that's been given to us, but at the same time keeping sensible and keeping open about it, which is why, again, I seldom refer to it at all except to bring it to prayer. And I met a lovely lady over the Christmas who really emphasised that drove it home for me in a way, the importance of prayer. It's why I started out with that idea of how Radio Maria really is your prayer support. And in terms of inoculation against all that is evil, not just physical sickness, but spiritual, mental, and all of the ills of this life, really prayer is the heart of it all. Aidan just telling me there how popular our 9 p.m. rosary is here each evening. It just seems to be a really good time, and it captivates and captures people. And in fairness to Father Marius and Kathy Sinnott, they do a good job on that rosary. And Father Marius even left me a message there on the phone earlier on. He's all fired up again. He has extraordinary energy, that man. He really is on fire, and it's just a lovely thing. And God bless him with his health and his ministry, that he'll come and he was up to visit the studio before Christmas and will pop up again, please God, in the new year going forward, and do a little bit more by way of enhancing that 9 p.m. rosary. And you know how it is that we really do love it. Aidan was giving shout out earlier as well, when you get involved in the prayer. And I like Aidan's suggestion, if as a New Year's resolution, maybe you might like to participate with us here. And it doesn't have to be onerous or burdensome, as if you have to commit to certain. It does help when we schedule out our prayer rota, and that we have a consistent body of volunteers and we know who's on at what time, and we do our best. Tara is assigned that role to get in touch with everybody and to line everybody up for prayer, whether it's a rosary or the office. But why not make that your little New Year's resolution? Why not say, look, I'd like to help, and don't commit to anything too onerous that you feel might be too burdensome upon you. Make it once a month if you wish, and just join us for a rosary with your voice and your prayerfulness and your intentions. Join us for the Divine Office, and if you need any help with that, we're more than happy to guide you through it. And there's nothing like kind of just jumping in and starting swimming with it. And there's, again, cancel from your head and just remove from your mind altogether all these thoughts of what will people think, or what about all the people listening, or supposing I make a mistake. Just cast all those ideas out of your head completely, because it's a family. As you know, if you're with us any length of time, you know that the radio here is like a parish community. No one is taking notes. No one is standing up there to criticise and say you should have said this, or maybe you should have done it that way. Or if they are, I completely ignore them. I mean, unless it's helpful. I mean, if I'm out of line in some way, I'm very happy to receive criticism, absolutely. But no, when it comes to prayer, for goodness sake, you know, what about it? We simply get involved, just as you would in your parish, just as you would like your family, I'm sure, to pray and pray with you. Wouldn't that be a lovely New Year's resolution and grace to bring into your home, that your family would gather around to pray? And maybe this could be a motivating thought for you, or a motivating principle, that if you get involved in prayer on Radio Maria, albeit, I don't know, say once a month, I'm only just throwing that idea out, maybe your family might come to hear of it, or you can just let them know. And if it is that they have are drifted away from their faith a little bit, or you'd like to see them go from lukewarm to being a bit more fervent, that you're coming on the radio to pray, say, hey, you know what, I've just signed up for my little prayer slot on Radio Maria. I'll be on tomorrow morning at 9:15, or I'll be on at lunchtime at 12:30. Why don't you listen in? I'll be praying the rosary on the radio. You just never know. You just never know how the influence that might have on others. And again, this is something I'm very strong and very, very convinced of myself, that the more people are involved here in Radio Maria, the more blessings will flow. That, again, it's not about us delivering a polished radio sound that's all snazzy and flawless and seamless and like commercial radio. It's nothing of the kind. It's simply not related at all. The only relation we have is that we broadcast. Our content and our approach is just so different. Excuse me. So what it really is, see, this again is something that, well, I suppose secular radio isn't just designed for that, or it's not its goal or its purpose. It has a very different, it's commercial, you see. This is the difference. We're not commercial. We couldn't care less about commercial activity. The only thing we're interested in, and you, I'm sure, with us too, is the faith. The faith. And as you become involved and as you step into it as well, you are the one helping to build it, helping it to grow. And it's I love Frank Duff's image. It's in the handbook there. You know, the Legionnaires celebrating their centenary year. He has a lovely description in the handbook of coals burning in a fireplace. And of course, the winter time is a great time to dwell on that image, that one coal in a fireplace or one candle in a room, say, is all well and good and provides heat maybe, but if you bring the coals together in a fireplace, they together they burn with a tremendous heat, and they glow against each other, and they give off, and they burn, and they radiate as a result. So the same again is true, I would argue, and I would agree with Frank Duff in the realm of the Spirit. And he uses that image for the Presidium, the local group of the Legion of Mary. And like I always say, you can just substitute Legion of Mary with Catholic Church, or when a group of people gathers to pray, when a group come together, again, it starts to glow, it starts to give off heat and light and grace. So here is our New Year's pitch, if you want, one of them, to you. To become involved, to engage with us, to come and pray with us, to sign up and just be part of it, not just to be so much listening passively, or maybe it's active listening that you're praying along with us too. That's marvelous, and thank you for that. That's terrific. What I would love to see is more people coming forward to just volunteer to pray. So do give us a call and just let us know. So don't be afraid. Don't be in the least bit intimidated or afraid. No need for any of that. Absolutely none. If you're listening any length of time now, you know that our approach is so gentle and always encouraging and always uplifting. And what I think, and if you can try to imagine this a bit too, all the other dear listeners and friends who are with us now and right throughout the day and the night time too, how encouraged and uplifted they are. That was one of the messages we received there from one of the voice messages, lovely voice messages that have come into us as well. A lady who said, now I get it, now I see I am not alone in my faith. There are many, many people just like me who yearn for a deeper faith, who yearn for ongoing conversion for myself and for others, who really want to see the blessings that faith brings bestowed upon many more. This is what you'll be doing by taking a little step forward into coming along and praying with us. So give Mary a call. Ruth is downstairs as well, answering the lines. There's 4 lines here, and you know the number 014 123 456 +353 14123 456. Now, if it is that we can't get to the call, don't worry. Just leave a voice message. We get through them, we get to them, and we listen, and we do our very best to reply back to everybody. So do please consider that, to come and pray with us for the Rosary. Give it a try. Don't feel like you have to commit at the outset, but certainly just come on, pray with us and connect with us and see the difference. And like I say, let other family members know, or your neighbours or your friends, and who knows, because I'm very much aware there are prayer groups scattered all over the country, and yourself, if you've ever belonged to any kind of a prayer group, be it charismatic or Taizé or Padre Pio prayer groups, or any number of all the wonderful charisms and gifts of the Holy Spirit. Eddie Stone's comes to mind. Listen, there's so many. But yourself, if you've been involved at any level in any of these things, then you know the energy and the grace and the support that you get from that. Well, here is again is what I'm suggesting for you as well, to come on board, come and support us. Don't sit on the fence, or don't be shy. And be part of the family, and let us see it build and grow. I'd love to see that rota just packed with names. There's already a good number of wonderful, wonderful people who pray with us. So here's the New Year's resolution for you. Day 1, back after Christmas, commit to helping us in prayer. We really would appreciate that. Now, can I give a little shout out on the camera? I'm not sure again how live we are, not live on our camera, but certainly on the radio here too. We have calendars waiting for a good home. So I didn't get a chance to speak with Ruth at length today, but we'll see how many are still left on the shelves. I know there may be several hundred left on the shelves. Please, if you would like an extra calendar or 3 to give away, we'll be bringing them to the parishes where we're going anyway. But it's not too late to get your beautiful new Radio Maria calendar with all the beautiful holy images there to help you throughout the year. So again, I'm just holding it up to the camera for those to see. And you've seen with the colour coding and the nice little icon images in there as well. We've sought to make it a liturgical calendar, one that will accompany you in faith through the year, as well as one of inspiration. This is my body given for you. That's in honour of Jesus giving up his body at Easter time, of course, because you see the days are in red for Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday and Holy Saturday. And we've highlighted all that. You can see Lent, season of Lent is in purple, so you can see very clearly where you are in the church's year at any given time. So lovely images there. And can I give a little shout out? The image in February I came across there, I think it was Orla Sheehan, put it up on her WhatsApp group. She's a massive WhatsApp prayer group there that I'm in, and it's a beautiful picture of the Holy Family and the Holy Trinity. Gorgeous painting, and painted in the style of Our Lady of Guadalupe, that kind of beautiful flowing garments and surrounding imagery. But it's painted by Ruth Strickland is her name, and we got permission from her. She's in Phoenix, Arizona, and she asked that we just put in her website and details there as well. And it was commissioned for the 50th anniversary of the Diocese of Phoenix. Very beautiful painting, and we've put the prayer to Jesus, Mary and Joseph on one side and the Holy Trinity on the other side. With the images, you'll notice there the fleur-de-lis is an image of the Holy Trinity, and the shamrock, of course, that's a French image for the Trinity, and the shamrock is the Irish image for the Trinity there too. So just we sort of pondered over that and dwelt upon it, and beautiful, just lovely images. So actually, if you have suggestions for images too, I might just say that too. WhatsApp them into us here for next year's calendar or future calendars, and we'll certainly consider them all. I'm always on the lookout. If somebody sends me a little message or an image, or I see something on Facebook, I'll do a screenshot of it on my camera, and I'll save it and just put it all on file, so that we just a whole swathe of really magnificent, just striking religious images for future use. So it's lovely when we come across that. So just look at the calendar here. It's kind of seems a small thing, the issue. The printer, when he was just running them off, he said he sent a message. He said, "Oops, we need to reconsider where we're putting the hole." When you put hanging it up for a hole on the wall, you need a hole in the calendar. It's punching a hole in it, and whatever way the hole's being punched, I think it was in the wrong place. It was kind of wrecking some of the images, and it's something you just never think about. Like the hole in the donut. You read the donut, you don't care about the hole. Yeah, the Holy Spirit took a bit of a hit there with the hole in the Holy Spirit, the dove there. Yeah, that's interesting now, you see. So it's just something we've learned to keep in mind for next year. It's actually not too bad. I'm just going through the pictures. Hasn't done too much damage there. But obviously you need the hole. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Eliza. No, it did okay. I think whatever way the hole was, it was doing a bit of damage to some of the images. Anyway, listen, there's loads of calendars remaining, several hundred as far as I know, and we'll certainly be bringing them to parishes as we go along, giving them away. Listen, you'll be doing a lovely favour for us in helping, obviously, promote the radio a little bit, but I would hope, and this is the primary objective really, that it becomes for you a little instrument of devotion and of understanding of the Church's year, and keeping the ebb and flow of the liturgical cycle before you. Very good. Let me see. Isn't it nice that there's a date has been set for the beatification of Pope John Paul I? And again, I remember meeting Bishop John McGee. He's the bishop who ordained me, thanks be to God, so many years ago. And Bishop John, of course, was secretary in Rome to both Paul VI, not both, three, isn't it? Paul VI, Pope John Paul I, and Pope John Paul II. And I remember him speaking some time ago, and there is a recording actually of him speaking about his time with some of the popes, and remarking on how all three of them were such holy, saintly men. And here now we have Pope John Paul, the first, going to be beatified in September. This is wonderful news. So look at the litany of holy popes the Lord has sent us for our deeply troubled times. Pope Pius XII, his cause is certainly being investigated and being analysed, and please God, in time that will come too. But Pope John the 23rd, Pope Paul VI, Saint John the 23rd, Saint Paul VI, soon to be blessed John Paul I, and Saint John Paul II. Now, maybe some of you are old enough to have lived through all those popes. Listen, where would you be going without a light on your bike, as the man says? To have lived in these times and seen these most extraordinary figures in the Church. We'd like to think the saints are somewhere back in history, Charles Borromeo or Ignatius of Loyola or Dominic or Francis, and think of all these great figures, Thomas Aquinas, of yesteryear, of old. And here we're living through the most extraordinary, marvellous saints. We can add Padre Pio, we can add Mother Teresa, Gianna Molla, all again saints of our own day. Marvellous figures. So listen, thanks be to God, isn't it great? So let me just read here. Pope Francis will beatify on the 4th of September Pope John Paul I. He signed a decree recognising a miracle attributed to his intercession, Albino Luciani, clearing the way for his beatification. So it's been officially announced, and it's going to go ahead. It's wonderful. So the vice postulator of the cause, Stefania Falaska, said that John Paul I, the 263rd Pope, who, as you know or remember, had spent 34 days at the head of the church. And one of the things Bishop McGee actually said about Pope John Paul I, he said when he was deciding his name, do you know the way George Bergoglio picked the name Francis? Well, Albino Luciani had to pick a name, and he went for the names of his two predecessors, John the 23rd and Paul the 6th, and he went for John Paul, but he said, I'll be John Paul the 1st. And they said, well, no, you can't be John Paul the 1st, because you can't be the first until there's a second. So you can't. But he said, yes, there will be a second. It was almost as if he foretold that he wouldn't be long in office. So he is the 6th pontiff from the 1900s for whom a cause of beatification and canonization has been introduced. Of course, you have Pius X from the 1900s. So Pius X, Pius XII, his cause is in train. It's in train, not yet, with God's help, in time. And John the 23rd, Paul the 6th, Pope St. John Paul II, and now John Paul I. 6. Wow. That's what I mean. It's staggering. This is just extraordinary. So the miracle approved in the cause of Pope John Paul I involves the healing of a young girl in Buenos Aires in Argentina who suffered a case of severe acute inflammatory encephalopathy, a malignant refractory elliptical illness, and septic shock. Okay, don't ask me, except that sounds to be very sick. I think encephaly, is that not an illness of the mind and the brain and the, as far as I know, inflammatory encephalopathy sounds like an inflammation of the brain to me. Again, I'm not, don't fact check me. But it sounds like a serious illness. So her situation was very serious, characterized by numerous daily seizures, yeah, that sounds like perhaps the brain, and a septic state of bronchopneumonia. According to canon law, the Church will have to wait for the outcome of another supermiro on the miracle process after beatification to proceed to canonization. That now I don't quite fully understand. I always understood it was a second miracle was needed, or maybe one is enough. At any rate, the cause has gone ahead. The diocesan inquiry into his heroic virtues and reputation for holiness took place between 2001 and 2004. Remember, actually, Bishop McGee told me he was making a deposition himself as a witness for Pope John Paul I in the short time, obviously, that he knew him. So in 2003, the formal requested consent for the introduction of the process was made. So the process was opened in 2003, and the postulator general was appointed, and there was a new postulator. This happens too, I think, with turnover of staff. These things take so long with the calls of the Congregation for Saints. The Ecclesiastical Tribunal began in 2003 and concluded its work 3 years later. In the 203 sessions of the diocesan process, 167 witnesses were examined. So that would obviously include Bishop John McGee too. Between 2008 and 15, the extra processual depositions, this is technical stuff here, of 21 other witnesses were acquired, with particular reference to the period of the pontificate and the death of John Paul I, of which testimony of Pope Benedict XVI is extremely important because it was the first time that a pontiff issued a face-to-face testimony about a predecessor. That's interesting too. Surely he'd have done it for Pope St. John Paul II too, because they were so closely allied, as when Cardinal Ratzinger was head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith and Pope John Paul II was Pope. I mean, they must have, surely. Anyways, a 3,600-page Positio. Mamma mia, that's a big book, composed of 5 volumes. This is the thing with Frank Duff's cause. That's awaiting, as far as I understand anyway, the Positio, which will be simply a massive work, which seeks to set out exactly how the candidate lived a life of heroic virtue, and puts it all down in writing. Really, they're mighty. Anyway, he's fondly remembered as the smiling Pope and one of the shortest papacies in history, and he left a lasting impression on the Church indeed. So please God, we look forward to learning a lot more about Pope John Paul I, Albino Luciano, as time unfolds, and looking forward to his beatification then later in the year, the 4th of September it is. Now let me take a brief little pause. It's nice to just breathe for pause for air, and we'll have a little piece of music for you. Again, please do get in touch with us, 089 467 2000. Oh good, thanks Ulrika, live on Facebook. Glad, shout out, wave to everybody there as well. Let me see here, hang on. Very good, there's Aidan's messaging me here. Shout out to Maura there and Gabriella on Facebook. Good, lovely to have you with us. Well, there's a nice one for our Christmas, the first Noel. Josh Groban, of course, a lovely crooner. He's got a very sweet, mellifluous type of voice indeed, lovely singer. So let's pause for the music. Get in touch, 089 467 2000 is the text on WhatsApp, 014 123456 to give a call, or drop a like and a share and all these things on social media here as well to get in immediate contact with us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, Aidan.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay.
In fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, Noel,
Born is the King of Israel. They looked up, and they saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far.
into the earth it gave great light, so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 Noel.
epic sound. Thanks for that, Aidan. Josh Groban there, the first Noel. Hope you enjoyed that. You know, it's a shame Christmas season is just so short. There's just so much good music, Christmas music. And doesn't that tell you something when there is such a plethora of beautiful, uplifting and inspiring music to choose from for the Christmas season that we hear, of course, during Advent, which strictly speaking, he hasn't been born yet, so it should be Advent music by right. But there's so much, it doesn't that tell you something, surely, that this momentous event in history, the inbreaking of God, the Word made flesh, and dwelt among us, has inspired such art, music and faith and devotion and love and peace and joy like no other event. Does that not speak volumes? And then you have those who just want to cast it all aside. Happy holidays. Whoopie-doo. You know, is it the best we can? I mean, why even have happy holidays? Why have any holidays at all? You know, if you're not going to believe, then good luck. Carry on. Go do your own thing. Find your own. I'm being a bit facetious, of course. No, that's... how does it make sense? For goodness sake, we see the difference that Christ has made by being born among us, and our response to that then makes the world a far better place. It's on the path to redemption. Again, the kingdom of God is among us and is near at hand and with us, and that gives us great hope indeed. So thanks to everybody getting in touch there on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thanks to Michelle and Gabrielle, to Anne and Ulrika and Ray just liking us there this morning. Well done for that too. And there's a question that came in just wondering, is the obligation to go to Mass on Sunday still lifted? Now, I must follow through on that. To my knowledge, the answer to that is yes, that we're not yet obliged to return in person to Holy Mass. I think it's still optional. Now, I must fact check myself on that one too. I'm as far as I'm aware, indeed, that is the case. But if it is that we have decided, again, just for the good of our health, and for all the right reasons, to abstain from being present physically in church, we are still very much obliged to attend Holy Mass online. Still, no. As I say, I must just triple check that for you, that it is the case that it is still. I didn't hear, and I was reading a little while ago, I haven't read more recently, that it is the case that we're still not obliged to return, but still very much obliged to attend Holy Mass online, and do so as if we were attending Mass, with a due decorum and due reverence and prayerfulness and participation too. That's still very much the case, that we don't lose touch or lose sight of. But I would certainly be encouraging, and I know all of us here at Radio Maria would be encouraging you to return physically to Holy Mass as soon as practically as possible if you haven't already done so, and to do so safely, and every other which requirement and reason too. So please do indeed. Now, I had a lovely statement there from the calendar, the liturgical calendar I was going to share with you. My time is gone, unfortunately, so I'll have to come back to it tomorrow. Lots more to talk about, but nice to be back here again, nice to be back with you, nice to have your company as well. And as I say, please do make it your New Year's resolution, if at all possible, to engage with us here on Radio Maria, to become very much a part of our prayer team, and let's hear your voice accompanying us on the microphone as well, over the phone or via WhatsApp or via Skype. There's lots of ways it can be done, and become part of our growing prayer support for so many people. This is the case. We're seeing this as the real fruit and blessing of Radio Maria. Now it's 12 o'clock, so I'll take my leave of you. We'll pause now. We will pray together now. Our